Good morning, everybody. It's Ace Trades for Wednesday, April 8th. The Bible says in the book of 1 John chapter 5, starting verse 12, He that hath the Son hath life, and he that hath not the Son of God hath not life. These things have I written unto you that believe on the name of the Son of God, that ye may know that ye have eternal life, and that ye may believe on the name of the Son of God. So, many people don't know that they have eternal life. Many people are hoping that they make it to heaven or whatever their concept of the afterlife is. But the Bible says that you can know that you have eternal life if you trusted in Jesus Christ as your Savior. On the chart, got this big rip up overnight, probably on the news that Trump wasn't going to turn Iran into a sea of glass. So we got this big rip up, two legs of correction, and then pushed up, and we've been pretty much in this range since we hit midnight. So it remains to be seen. One thing you might um, have in the back of your mind is that prices tend to fill gaps. Um, so there's a gap here left from overnight. You can see where prices closed and then they opened. But not only that, but there will be a huge gap on the regular trading um, market because it doesn't carry open overnight. Um, so there's a big gap, definitely. But it's just prices are kind of tepid here right now. Let's just zoom in a little bit more. I try to be mindful of people watching on their mobile devices, but I don't always remember that. So we got this move down, kind of chug sideways, bunch of overlapping bars. You got this push down. Let's see. This is one of those ones I would say is kind of aggressive because you have this, you can clearly see there's like a very thin two legs here. So you get this push down, and then you get a very thin two legs, big bar off the EMA. Not a whole lot of room, 2 points, given you've got probably almost a 6 point risk there. So that's a one I 9 times out of 10 I won't take. New low, and then just a lot of overlapping bars. So we just need to sit tight and wait to see if we get clean price action. Remember yesterday we didn't get anything really. There was one early in the morning. It was kind of iffy. And then, the best trade of the day was around 3 o'clock. And so you just sit through all this. You don't try to guess. Um, and then you just wait for the setups to come to you. So anyway, I'll be back again later. So all this stuff in here, this is just worthless price action. I think we were in here maybe when I left off last time. You push up, you push down, you just get a bunch of overlapping bars, all this range and stuff. There's nothing really here other than, maybe you see prices are kind of trying to push up through this level and it's not working right now. Um, maybe there's some kind of little range here also in this mess, but there's nothing here you can trade. It's just, um, it's pointless to try to take stuff in here. So you just got to sit and wait for um, things to clean up. All right, just wanted to update because it looks like this found this wider channel, which looks like this may potentially be a thing here because we've fitting here, fit off the bottom here, slowly worked our way back and came back to here. Then we dumped off that level. So this may be a channel, a wider channel we want to watch. Remember, price action is layered. So on a higher time frame, maybe you look at like a 10,000 tick chart or something. This might look like a really nice channel. But on a lower time frame, it's hard to find because of all the static that's in here as prices are working in this channel. So yeah, so I'm just watching that for now. We'll see if we can potentially catch a short here if something sets up nicely as this channel continues to push down. Okay, I just wanted to show you this. So, we have this messy trend here with all this static in the price action. But I pulled up a 10,000 tick chart. So you can see how it's much easier to see the bigger price action trends on a higher time frame, where it's more difficult to see on the 2000 tick chart. So that's what I mean when I talk about its bigger price action. It's filling out a bigger trend than, the time frame, the 2000 tick that I like to trade, that's going to give me relatively decent sized bars that I feel comfortable taking as stops, where, on here you can see that the average bar is probably like 7 points, 8 points, just because it's taking longer for that bar to manifest because of the ticks it has to churn through. And so you end up with bigger bars, but you can see the trend cleaner and much easier on the higher time frame. So anyway, that's what I mean when I'm talking about that stuff, bigger picture price action, and seeing on higher time frame, you can see through all these weeds a little bit easier because it's taking longer for this bar to print. So you'd have 5 bars in here on the 2000 tick, and you can see this range here within this trend pretty easily also. But it's difficult to trade because you're not going to get a lot of setups, because you're getting a fifth of the bars throughout the day, and the bars are much bigger. So it's usually not a time frame that's conducive to day trading, but it does help you see things that you may have trouble seeing on the lower time frame. Okay, so now we're in this trend and we worked our way down and we have this overshoot now. So you'd want to be careful shorting. You'd want to see this, something to the bullish end play out first before you would um, want to consider shorting again. You can see this is probably the strongest bull move up in this whole push down. So that's created by this overshoot of this big downtrend. But we'll just wait and see. You want to see this maybe play out. Maybe you'll end up getting like 2 legs up. So if you got to play out with maybe, like, I don't know, maybe it does this, maybe it comes down here and does, like, you get a clear, break of this move up, and then it pushes up here, and you'd want to watch up here then off your trend, short-term trend play out to the upside. But that's just an idea. Not saying it's going to do that. So that's what I'm watching right now. And then maybe if you get like a lower high or something back into this channel, then maybe that's good to take for a short. But it's nice to see, though, at least the volume is kind of picked up a little bit, and you're getting some separation now in the price action instead of all this choppy stuff that we've been having. So let's just keep an eye on how this move plays out. Okay, so let's talk about this because, with the overshoot. So you get back up into this area where, this type of little overshoot here with the size of how huge this downtrend is, this could be like a wicking out on somebody else's chart. So that's not such a big deal. With this turning around immediately and reversing back down, um, it looks like the bigger structure here is overriding this overshoot clearly as we're coming back down into the channel. So if you got some sort of setup here pushing down, um, and you got 2 legs that you're happy with, um, I think I'd be okay taking a short now at this point with how far down this is pushed. Um, yeah, it's still in if this was a different context, this is still, let's see here, this would still be like in a corrective phase for this particular trend. So you can see you're back into like the 38.2, 50 point retracement for that move up. But you have to remember, you're also inside this bigger context of this huge downtrend. So in the larger scheme of things, if we go over to this, you can see you got this even on the 10K, you got this overshoot, but this EMA, this other side of this trend line, you can see how this is just a wick on a bigger time frame, and this is pushing back down. So very likely now this channel, it has recovered. Um, I really wouldn't foresee this like halting here and creating like a second leg up, although anything's possible. It looks like the channel has resumed its dominance over this little overshoot here. So, yeah, I think you'd be okay if something's set up for you. But it's not to say that it won't. Could very well, give you maybe not a measured move, but this could retest. But you just have to watch the price action and see what it does. If you're at all concerned about it, just hold on and don't take anything. This doesn't look like it's setting up anything very nice to the short side at the moment anyway, but um now the EMA looks like it is starting to also hold on the downside. You can see prices try to push up into it, push down. So anyway, we'll just keep an eye on it there. Not a good higher low that you want, but you're within this bigger structure that is heavily downward biased. Even if you weren't running into the EMA right there, I would not be taking that as a high or low or anything. But that's the thing that makes it challenging trading, kind of smaller picture stuff, and when you're in a much bigger picture trend, because it's difficult to determine where these movements within this bigger structure are going to play out. So, um, yeah, so this all looks like, you know, as I talk about, these bars keep closing higher. So I wouldn't count that as an entry. This all looks like one push up to me. So this is all I'm considering this all as one leg. But if this does end up pushing up, playing out, then I think it makes it easier then to determine when the um, when this overshoot has um, what I want to say played out, I guess, when it's over, when it may be safe to start thinking about shorting again. But anyway, going on for quite a bit there about this overshoot, so we'll just keep an eye on stuff. All right, this is tough here. I'm just gonna skip that just because of the all these stacked up bars in this area. Um, but you can see off this push down, you had one push, pushed up again. You've got a second try here. Um, it's just too stacked up to me. That's not two clear legs. I'm not saying that prices may have not hit resistance here and this may push down on us into a second leg, but that's just not what I'm looking for there. You're shorting right into this. Basically, this looks like a tiny little range to me right here. And so you're basically shorting into the bottom of this range. I mean, your bigger context is pushing down. The one thing you'd be concerned about though, is this still, um, because these are not two clean legs to me, and you're in all this choppy sideways stuff. So yeah, I'm skipping that and just waiting. All right, so now that you got this really choppy stuff here, this looks like this is really trying very hard to make a new high for this, and then if this does, you may just get downward pressure then again. But you just want to let this thing play out and tell you which way prices are going. Um, because there's no point in trying to guess here. You may see somebody trying to guess on this bar here thinking prices are going back down now and they have got this technical, one try higher, two try higher failure. I'm sure people got trapped trying to go short on that. It hasn't quite lost yet, but it looks not great for this entry. Um, so yeah, you just stay out of all this static. Um, and then this, if you just be mindful of your swings, you won't get. Some people may have got trapped on that thing thinking this push down was going to go for a new low now since this failed here twice to push up. But you just have to be mindful of your shorting right into this swing and all this choppy price action. And, then it just gets choppier. So that's about it. There's just nothing to do in this stuff. You just have to wait for prices to show you which direction they want to go. Okay, so we get this. This actually does push up into a new high. You just never know how it's gonna get there. I mean, it's not a nice like two legs and then push back up. We get a lot of chop here, most likely because traders recognize how bearish this is, and so they're continuing to try to push it down. But the structure ends up playing out. Um, Fortunately, there's no kind of real setup here to the short side, but I would be very cautious about if you're thinking about any longs. I'd be very cautious now with this played out, and we'd be thinking about potentially a short now with this. Now this trend has a uh, true break on it, and so never know. Maybe this will try to push up to this measured move, but I'd be thinking potentially we could flip around here and grab a short. Then as this trend may try to push to a new low after this break that came off of this overshoot. So, again, we're dealing with bigger picture price action. So we're trying to find smaller picture moves and bigger picture price action. Can be difficult, all this choppiness. So, um, just have to sit and be patient, just like always. All right, so now we're up into this measured move level for this move up, break, measured move. If you start pushing up through here, then you just might have to entertain the idea that the prices have just decided to reverse. But we drag this over here for a minute. Not like that. Drag this over here. So you're also getting close to this former resistance area. Prices struggled. So, if you start just kind of doing this sort of thing where red bar, green bar, red bar, green bar, and you just keep slowly chugging up like that, then prices probably just reversed. When you get this kind of alternating red bar, green bar sort of thing, and you're not getting clear price movements, and it's very stacked, like it had been earlier, just makes it almost impossible to trade because you're just guessing if you decide to enter where some swing is or not. Um, like if you just guessed here on a short, I'm going to take that red bar. No, you're trapped. Take that one. Nope, you're trapped. So it's very difficult when you get this bigger picture price action during the intraday, and you're trying to trade on a smaller picture um, chart, the bigger stuff, because you get a lot of congestion as prices move in these bigger structures. So it's really hard to try to tell where things are ending, where things are turning around. Um, but anyway, we'll just keep at it. All right, so looks like we've launched into this uptrend here. So you have ideas about what you think prices are going to do, but you just continue to follow the price action. So if it flips against you, goes against your ideas, then you switch your ideas. And so it kind of looks like we have flipped around here into this uptrend. So, I'm going to keep an eye on that. It's going to be hard to get any kind of entry though, because like I said, you're dealing with a larger picture price action in a smaller time frame that we're trading here. So, might be hard to find something, but we'll just keep an eye on it. You never know what could happen. You never know when that entry is going to show up that you're looking for. All right, so now we're getting a correction for this uptrend, but because of how it's being produced with all these overlapping bars, very difficult to tell where you might try to get in, although this is only one leg. That's what makes these kinds of days very hard when you're just typically getting a lot of overlapping bars printing. Right, so here we have this uptrend is now trying to push up for a new high, but because of how the price action is printing, you really have no idea where that is going to end, where you could possibly get in. So this type of price action is really difficult to trade, really quite worthless to the visual retail trader like us. If you think you're going to try to identify some place to get in for this trade. Um, for this, I guess the idea being you're trying to get in with prices as they start to head for a new high, but you really have no idea where that's going to be. Um, up until maybe this point here, with this bar off the EMA, you're really not even sure if this is going to be able to punch through here to attempt the new high. And also this could be one leg. So my guess would be this is going to try to push up on this leg, but you could get a wider two legs. That would be kind of odd. Um, kind of an odd distribution of those two legs. Usually they would be kind of much, even with the price action being ugly, usually they would be kind of much closer together, not spread out like that. But yeah, so if this type of printing persists, you just might not be able to get anything visually today. All right, let's talk about this. So I had this uptrend, this broke, and we were talking about this, I think, in this area going for a new high, which it does, right? And then you may, you know, perhaps you draw this wider channel, this touch here, touch here, touch here, fits pretty good. Um, you could put it like that. It pokes up here, but this, remember, on a bigger time frame, this could just be a wick. If you want to, you could put it up there like that. This almost comes back up, so this is starting to look valid. However, it doesn't make it back up to the other side here. So the fact that you have this uptrend that's broken and made a new high, you've got to be real careful about taking something right here off this wider trend channel. I think some people may. Now, some people who do technical two attempts may not take it because there's one here and this would be the second one, but some people might see this as legs. You're under the EMA. It's very congested here. It's not clean. This is already played out, so you just got to be real careful. I mean, I would say I'd look for something if it was coming off here and you had two very clean legs back down here and it was maybe holding on the upper side of the EMA, you might entertain that. But this just looks like a trap because of how this you've already got this played out. Remember the wider channels can be deceiving. You have to be real sure about them. And so this indeed does fail here. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe this will push up now off this. Um, but it's hard to tell because this uptrend is now played out. This wider channel is proven to be unreliable. Maybe this starts to head down now off of this play out, and this wider channel is not really anything. So you just sit and continue to watch the price action, wait for clean setups. All right, guys. So yeah, I had one of these trades right here. Couldn't get in it. This closed on its low and just the next bar just zipped right down. In fact, I had my just to tell you a little. I had my order sitting like right here, waiting to drag it up to drop it in, and this thing flew down so fast. I thought it was gonna stop me in down here. Um, So I did not expect that to just dump so quickly like that. I thought for sure, um, it would give me a chance to get in because it was not printing that fast. But as soon as this bar closed, this dumped. So fortunately, great setup there that we couldn't get in. should say I couldn't get in. I use this we like you're trading with me. I couldn't get in. But, just to show you once again that that you just you have to ignore all this garbage, all this stuff that you see prices flipping around, floating around, you can't figure out what it's doing, and you wait for this. You wait for a clean trend, two clean legs of correction, and you wait for a good setup. And it happens often enough. This probably will be the only thing I'll see today, but it happens often enough that you can get these trades and just ignore all this stuff. People are so conditioned by watching certain people who put 15 arrows, 25 arrows on a chart, thinking every little swing somewhere they're going to be smart and they're going to try to get in and they're going to take, oh, this is going to be, let me get this as a higher low here, and let me get this, there's a lower high here in this mess, or oh, this is a failure here. I'm just going to go short right there. It's pointless. Just wait for the clean, easy stuff, and it shows up often enough that you can just wait on that. So unfortunately, couldn't get in that trade there. Great setup. Would have been a quick, easy couple of points there. Signal bar is actually, I think it's only like 2.25 points or something like that. So the risk is even not very bad. 2.25 would have been less than 3 points total risk for me. So anyway, so you get this two legs, new low. I mean the larger bias is up, so as soon as this is done, this is trying to go up again. Um, right now overall, but that's the stuff you're waiting for.
All right, so here we get another strong push down, one leg, two legs. Fortunately, this bar finishes way down here. This bar finishes way down here into these lows. Chances are um, this is going to retest, but I most of the time I like room down here. I would much rather see this bar finish. Maybe this pokes up here and you get a bar like this that closes like around this area. That way you have much more room even down to this swing here. So I'll probably skip that 9 times out of 10 when you get a second leg that closes. This does eclipse this one, so you have this uptrend break new high, but I don't like going short way down here with barely room to get out, and you're taking on probably 2, 4, 6, 7 points of risk there probably. So I'm just gonna skip that, and we'll just keep watching and waiting.
All right, so last time we were doing an update, we were kind of in this area. We just kind of went sideways here for a while. Prices moved down. You got this second leg down, so you have this sharp leg, correction, it goes into a range, pushes, you get a measured leg down, goes a little bit further than that. You could draw this downtrend. There's no real, I mean, you just have to be careful because this downtrend is the second leg down for this move, So if this move, break sideways, and then you get your second leg down, and then now the fact that this is pushing up to a new high for here, I'm counting this as all one trend up. And so I've got a measured move drawn, um, putting it at the low of the lowest swing up to here. So we'll see what happens with that. Looks like this is struggling at these highs for now. Um, but if we got some sort of big push up here quickly, um, reaction off, this sort of level, just have to wait and see what prints if you get a nice clean lower high with this having played out to the upside. Maybe something you entertain there. Um, yeah, so that's about it for now, and I'll be back when something else happens, or yeah, probably just post market if I don't get into a trade. It's after 3:30 now. All right, everybody, I'm just gonna end the video here for today. We're just a couple minutes away from the close, and got this leg up, second leg up, and now we're got into the measured move, and now we're just kind of grinding higher. So doubtful. I'm gonna be looking at taking any more trades today, or I should say any trades. I tried to get in this one here. You have this downtrend, one clear leg, break. There's the first leg breaking the downtrend. There's your second leg, nice signal bar. Tried to get in there, couldn't. This is the only thing all day I think that is really worthwhile taking. So I will just I'll see you again tomorrow and see if we can catch another one.